So I drew a starting point line here. You are going to come here and also mark another starting point, so you can know that this is the starting point where you're going to be starting your corset from. So we are going to mark our horizontal measurement. I am going to mark my bust length. From this point, I'm going to mark my bust length. My bust length is 11 inches. I'll mark my under bust length. My under bust length is 14.5 inches, and then my waist length is 17.5 inches, and I'm going to get a full length for this corset to be 24 inches. So I'll go ahead and replicate the same thing here. I'll connect everything together. So I'll go ahead and label it. This is my bust length, our under bust length, our waist length, and then our hip length. So the next thing I'll be doing is to mark my shoulder measurement. My shoulder measurement is 16 divided by 2 is 8 inches, and I'll mark it here. Then I'll also come and mark my standard neckline, which is 3 by 3. I'm going to go in by 3 inches here, and then come down by 3 inches at this point, and I'll connect it together. The next thing we're going to do is to come at this shoulder and get our shoulder slope or slant. I'll come down here by 1 inch. I'll now connect it to my neckline. So the next thing we are going to be doing is to get our armhole curve, and for you to get that, we are going to divide your round bust by 6 and add 1.5 inches. When I do that with my own, what I am going to have is 8.5. So I'll go ahead and mark this here, and then I'm going to rule this together. At this point, I am going to have a straight line here, okay, and this is going to serve as our chest line. So at this point, we are going to mark our round bust measurement. My round bust is 44, divided by 4 is 11. I'll go ahead and mark it here. I will now come to this line and get the center of this line. When I get the center, I'm going to indicate it. Then at this point, we are going to go in by 0.50. So now I've gone in, I will now connect this line to this line to this line, this point that is here. So let's go ahead and connect everything together. So this is going to serve as my upper bust length or chest line. So this is what we have, and this is our starting point, is also our shoulder line. So the next thing I'm going to do is to come and plot my bust pan or nipple to nipple on my measurement on my paper, starting from the bust line down to the hip length. My nipple to nipple is 4.9 divided by 2 is 4.5. So I'm going to mark 4.5 across here, and then I am going to connect everything together. So the next thing we are going to do at this bust length, I am going to come down by 0.75. Okay, then at the waistline, I am going to go in and out by 0.75. We are trying to form our darts. Okay, so the difference between them is going to be 1.5. I'll also do the 0.75 at the under bust length, so that you're going to have the 1.5. At the full length, I'm going to come up by 2.5. Okay, so this is where my dart leg will be stopping. So what I'm going to do now is to connect this line together, these two lines. I'll connect it together, and then I'll bring it down to join at the full, like here we came up by 2.5. So we'll come to this our shoulder line here. I will get the center, the middle point of it, mark it here, and then I will now connect this line to our bust point on the bust line. So this is what we are going to be having. So at this point, I'm going to come and get the difference between my bust length and under bust length, and what I am having here is 3.5. So I'm going to use this 3.5 and mark all the way around to form myself a circle. If you have a compass, this part you can just use your compass, open it up to 3.5 inches and draw it, but I don't have a compass. Remember this 0.75 that we came down from the bust length? I am going to use my curve ruler and connect it to the 0.75, that leg that we have here. So this is how this is what I am going to have. I'll connect this together. I'll go ahead and do the same for the other side. Remember that that distance we had here, we used 0.75. So all together we are going to have 1.5. So this 1.5, we are going to come and plot it at the upper part of this our circle here, but we're not going to do it equally. I'm going to be putting 0.50 plus 0.50 towards the center front, and I'll put the 1 inch towards the side front. Now, because we are opening here up, we are going to compensate for any gaping. We don't want any gaping to be here, so we're going to do what we call tightening. So I'll be adding 0.25 on both sides. So instead of us to use 0.50 here, we're going to be using 0.75 here, and instead of us to use 1 inch here, we're going to be using 1.25. So I'll go ahead and mark it. Here is 0.75, and then here is 1.25. Think, let me use the green marker. I'll connect this point to this point that is here, you know, so that we can have our cup formation. I'll also go ahead and run it for this side as well. So here I am going to come down by 0.50, that's half an inch. I'll also go in by half an inch, and then I'll mark it. So the next thing I'll do is to connect from this top part here to this our half inch that we went in and down with my curve ruler. I'll now connect from this place down to the under bust. So at this point, I am going to get the difference between here and here. From this line to the end here, can you see between this place? I'll get the difference between there. What I have here is 3 inches. So the difference is going to be 1.5. So I mark it here. So at that point, I am going to come down by half an inch or 0.50, and then I'll rule it straight. I will also draw a straight line outward from this our new point, and that is the line we'll be using. So the next thing I'll be doing is to use my curve ruler and connect from that leg to this place that we came down. I am going to connect this like this. Then from here I will now connect it back to the under bust, and this is what I am having. You guys know that what we are trying to get is a 3-part corset, okay? And this is 1 and this is 2. So we need to be able to draft in the 3rd part, which is the upper part of the corset. From here, this our point here, I'm going to come down by 2 inches so I can get our upper part. So at this point, you know that this point and this point is higher than this point, so I'll be adding 0.50 to it. So I'm going to come down by 250 here, and then 250, that's 2.5. And then at this point I will also come down by 2 inches, just like this side, because it is lower than this side. So let us go ahead and do that. I am going to mark my 2 inches here. At this point I am going to mark 2.5 inches. Here I am also going to mark 2.5 inches. 2.5 inches. Then at this point I am going to mark 2 inches. The next thing I'll do is to use my curve ruler and connect all these points together. Oh guys, I made a mistake. I'm not meant to connect this is meant to go this way. Sorry guys, you see the mistake I made a mistake in the connection. Let me use the blue line and remark it. This is our line. Please disregard this line, this is a mistake. So this is a 3-part corset. This is 1, this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. So by the time we'll cut it out and then join this together, it's going to be 1. So to be on the safe side, let us label this. This is 1A, 1B, and then this is 2, and then this is 3. This is facing this direction, this is back, then this arrow is facing here, and this is facing here. this is facing up, this is facing up. I'm trying to give it all the directions so you can see. Then for this side, you're going to know that this is facing up, this in, this is facing in. Okay, so this is facing down, this is facing down. So this is what we're having. These are cup, the first one, second, and then the third one. The next thing we are going to do is to plot in our body circumference. And how we are going to do that, we're going to start from here. Remember that at this chest line, we've already had our round bust divided by 4 here. So but we'll have a that difference here, and what we'll have here is 2 inches. So whatever you have in your own, that is what you're going to come and put here. Me, what I have is 2 inches, so I am going to go ahead and mark my 2 inches here, and I'm going to extend this line so that it is going to, you know, cover it. So I'll go ahead and add my sewing allowance. My sewing allowance is 1 inch. You're the one that will determine how much sewing allowance you would like to use. Me, I'm going to be using 1 inch, so I'll go ahead and mark my 1 inch at this point. So I'll go ahead and drop this our sewing allowance that we added here to this line. You know, this is the line that we are using, so I'll just drop this down. The next thing I'm going to be doing is to get my waist measurement, and my waist measurement is 30 divided by 4 is 7.5. So I'll go ahead and mark my 7.5 at this point. This is my 7.5. From this 7.5, my dart intake is, what I have here is 1.5. I'm going to mark my 1.5. Then I'll now go ahead and mark my sewing allowance, which is 1 inch. I'll add it here, and this is what the line that we are going to be using. So the next thing I'll do now is to connect my chest line to the waist line. So at the full length, I am going to use my hip circumference measurement, which is 46 divided by 4 is 11.5, which is what I am going to be using at this point, 11.5. Then I'll mark my 1 inch sewing allowance. That is what I put here, and then I am going to connect these together. So the next thing I'll do is to, so guys, the next thing we are going to be doing now is to put in our slanted lines. This one it has no hard and fast rule to it. I'll just keep my tape, my ruler here, and just slant. You see the way this is slanted, so I'll just slant this out, and then I will mark this here. I'll also do the same for this one. I'll also mark this here. So guys, this is exactly what we did in the front. So just go back and watch how we did this in the front. I arrived here. Remember that for the back measure, for the front measurement, for the neckline, we are doing 3 by 3. But for this back measurement, I am going to come down by 1. Okay, it will be 1 inch here by 3 inches. Can you see what I'm having? So this is it. Then I am going to connect these together. So this is going to be our new neck measurement and not this one. I hope you've gotten up onto here. So for this, my pattern that I'm making, this back pattern, I will not be adding zip to it. I'm going to be using you know, eyelets. So this is going to be my zip allowance side. So if you are going to be adding using zip on your own, you are going to add your zip allowance. Then for us to get our armhole, do you remember that for the front we got the 2 equal halves of this place? Yeah, and then we'll go in by old 50, but we're not going to be doing that. We're just going to get the half and then connect it together. I'll go ahead and then connect this together to this point. This is our armhole. Next thing I'm going to do is to mark my nipple to nipple, my bust band measurement, which is 4.5. I'm going to mark it here. I'm also going to mark it at the waist length, 4.5, all the way to the full length, which is 4.5 here. And then I'll go ahead and connect it together at this chest line or upper bust length. And I also mark my bust span divided by 2, which is 4.5. I'm going to mark it here, but I'm not going to connect it. I'll just leave this point, and then I'll come down by 050, and then it is from this 050 that I'm going to connect this straight line. We are going to stop it at this point. So the next thing we are going to do is to mark our dart. So for the back dart, I'm going to be using half an inch, okay? So from this half an inch, I'm going to connect it to this point at the top here. I'll connect it to this point, and then I'll connect both the other side as well. And then I'll come up here by 2.5, and then connect these lines back here. What we're going to do now is to impute our body measurement. So at this chest line, I'll just add 1 inch sewing allowance. Then at the waistline, I'm going to mark my waistline divided by my round waist divided by 4, which is 30 divided by 4, which is 7.5. I am going to mark my 7.5 here. I am going to come and cater for this 1 inch that is here, the difference here, which is our dart. I'll put it here, and then I also mark the 1 inch for our sewing allowance, and this is what we are going to be using. And then for the full length, I am going to be doing 11.5. that's my round weave. 11.5. I'm going to add 1 inch sewing allowance here, okay? And then I'll now go ahead and connect everything together. So to eliminate, like to make my back very comfortable, to eliminate any form of folding at the waistline, I am going to go in by 050 at this point. I'll go in by 050 at the waist, and then I'll connect it back to the chest line, okay? And then I'll take it back to the full length. So now we are done with the back. So let's come back to the front, this front part there. If you are a bigger size, if you are bigger chested like me, what you are going to do, just come here at this point and connect it back to the original point, okay? Here, just connect this together here, and then, okay, see the way I've brought it up. So this is what my cup is going to be. So let us go ahead and cut this out. Can you see I've cut out? Oh, no. This is my sewing. Okay, let's just leave it. So this is what we are having. So I'll now go ahead and open up here, and then go this way. And then I'll go this way to cut out this curve. Then I'll follow this way. I'll come back here to cut out this other second dart leg. Then I'll now follow here. And then look at what I'm doing, guys. I hope you're following me. So I now followed that first one. Remember that one that we did? This is how I followed it. Okay, so this is what you have. Let me go ahead and cut out this yoke. Okay. So this is what we have for the cup, and then let me go ahead and cut out this other side, the side front. So this is what we are having. Okay, so the next thing I'll do now is to go ahead and cut out the third part, this one, like the third part of the corset curb. So I'll follow it this way and cut it out. So this is what I am having. This is what I am having for the front pattern. I'll label this front yoke. Front yoke. This is the center front one, and then side front. I'll place this on a different pattern paper. This one now will make it to be only one. Okay, by the time you are now done, this is what you are going to be having. So I'll go ahead and cut out the back pattern. So guys, this is me cutting the back pattern of these corsets. I hope you found this video helpful. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, thumbs up this video, and also leave a comment. If you would like to make an outfit, I'm also going to leave my details in the description box. Also follow my socials. Bye.